فخامة الرئيس، الحضور الكريم، أعددت كلمتي باللغة الفرنسية.
I have prepared my speech in French, but I'd rather speak in Arabic because most of the participants understand Arabic. However, the original speech in French is with the interpreters. It's a great honor for me to be with you today in Geneva in this ancient university and with the presence of such important personalities. I wish to seize this opportunity to greet former Lebanese President Michel Suleiman, who is participating in this conference and that has given patronage to the National Conference on Dialogue that witnessed the meeting of the various political forces, and that led to the Babda Declaration on the 11th of June 2012. This declaration led to an inter-Lebanese dialogue with the aim of keeping national peace and avoiding the country's avoiding that the country may slip into conflict. This has also motivated the mass media to keep away from words that may lead to conflict. It has also led to the safeguarding of internal cohesion and leading to Lebanon becoming a center for a dialogue between cultures, religions, and civilizations. Notwithstanding this, and despite this declaration, the political discourse was away from the necessary prerequisites for a dialogue, which is essential for the resolution of political conflicts. This deterioration in the atmosphere that is conducive to dialogue was translated in the lack of or the incapacity to elect a new president of the Republic. This truly sorry situation depends on the many conflicts that are present in the area of the Middle East as a whole. Consequently, a national dialogue has become crippled due to the lack of a dialogue between regional players and due to the interference of the world powers in current conflicts. This reality leads us to insist on the importance of political dialogue in general as a transit route towards the resolution of conflicts, while insisting on the fact that human dialogue that aims at protecting civilians in areas of conflict is one of the most important manifestations of dialogue. The participants in a humanitarian dialogue are, of course, both on the political level, and they are also the governments. However, the great development in the area of this dialogue is one of the important initiatives of non-governmental organizations, which is extremely important today, while we witness a new human order at the world level, which needs the contribution of such non-governmental organizations and the role of the media is extremely important in this context. The images of the unbearable images that are aired all over the world, such as the image of the child Ilan, has again proven that the mass media have played an essential role and continue to do so towards alleviating the effects of governmental policies that aim to calm people. Today in Lebanon, according to official statistics, we host 1,200,000 Syrian refugees, which is approximately a third of the Lebanese people in such a small area of land, which is our country. And we try to provide all sorts of services to those people who live in dire conditions. Based on this, we have to insist on the importance of humanitarian dialogue in the management of the lives of the displaced. We realized that when political dialogue between the parties in conflict becomes impossible, humanitarian dialogue must continue. And in such a case, we have to maintain a communication that allows for the protection of civilians. The media play an essential role in this area. As Minister of Information in Lebanon, I wish to insist on and reiterate the importance of this role. I have to, within this context, to speak of the unclear relationship between the mass media and those working in the humanitarian field, especially the NGOs that require a certain secrecy in their work and caution when dealing with their work, since they have to be impartial and keep away from the mass media in order to protect civilians. However, such impartiality must not lead to indifference and must also avoid any feelings of animosity between the workers in the humanitarian field and the mass media. These are essential parts of humanitarian dialogue due to the capacity to mobilize the media. The role of the media is essential since it has to insist on the importance of truth so as to allow for the success of humanitarian dialogue. Such a role in mobilizing the public opinion has become worldwide. There is the need to balance between the right to convey information, and as Minister of Information, I insist on the importance of this point, on the one hand, and on the other, we have to realize that the freedom in conveying information must also be characterized by a sense of responsibility. Freedom is not in contrast with other concepts. On the contrary, it is essential for the respect of the opinions of others. Responsibility also entails an auto-censorship, a self-censorship of the media when choosing images, since the way the media present scenes of awful violence may hinder dialogue, or it may even promote the role that the mass media have to play in this field. In one of the French channels, for 2 hours, aired a hostage who had his hands tied behind his back and was kneeling. And so this image was aired, and the TV presenter was basically with the guests in the studio, were in a very small square image to the top of the screen. Of course, the eyes of the watchers were mesmerized by the main image. The objectives of the parties in conflict are many times psychological and not just military, since they aim at terrorizing the enemy. The media, within the framework of their role in promoting humanitarian dialogue, must insist on or choose the news according to the priority of saving civilians. In conclusion, there should be no conflict between the role of humanitarian workers and the mass media. Each needs the other. I will now give the word to the following speakers according to this list. Dr. Ali Fayyad, deputy in the Lebanese Parliament and professor in the Lebanese University. He will speak of the international relations at the service of international dialogue and civil peace. Dr. Fayyad, to you the floor. Thank you. I have a quarter of an hour to speak. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you. The subject of my lecture is international relations at the service of international dialogue and civil peace. It seems obvious, clear, that the three subjects involved may be in some cases related to each other, and in others quite different from each other. However, it is such a general subject, and the three subjects, namely international relations, international dialogue, and civil peace, may be considered as follows. Within the study of political sciences, we may find tools in order to analyze the relations between these three subjects. Dialogue in the framework of international relations expresses the balance of powers. Of course, dialogue is always practiced within this context, and it also expresses the balance of powers. It mostly leads to results at the end of a conflict and not at the beginning, when the balance of power imposes on a dialogue a certain result. This is why the International relations, as you know, civil wars usually start at the local level and due to the conditions of a certain part of society. Then the development of the crisis may be subject to a certain mechanism due to outside influence, external influence. At a certain level, the various dimensions may influence such a civil war. However, it is not possible to end a civil war unless certain regional and international conditions are present. This is why we have to look for the mechanisms from an academic point of view and to study such mechanisms that may lead to the end of a civil war. International relations are characterized by tensions. Although there are many calls upon us to adopt dialogue in the solution of such conflicts. I have worked on research from international organizations, and I have actually found 21 either statutes, protocols, among statutes, protocols, conventions, international documents in general that speak of the importance of international dialogues and the solution of conflicts by peaceful means. There are also paragraphs in the Charter, the UN Charter, that calls for dialogue, which leads me to say that theory is one thing and practice is another. The context in which we are now and that characterizes international relations is far from such theory on the importance of dialogue. During the past 10 years, the system of international relations has become more complex despite the fall of the Soviet Union, the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the fact that we are in a unipolar world, and the fact that having one superpower may help in reaching solutions. This did not happen. We may say that we are now in the wake of a system of a multipolar system. This means that we moved from a bipolar world to a unipolar world, and we might now move to a multipolar world. I believe that the sources of conflict in international relations are many. However, I wish to concentrate on the most important among these and to those mostly related or most related to our part of the world. The first is the insistence of the NATO to infringe on the Russian area of influence, which led Russia to going back to the international arena. Number two, the second factor is the continuation of the Arab-Israeli conflict, and the third is the emergence of a new extremist movements such as ISIS, Daesh, and Nusra, etc., and the appearance of new focal points of conflict in Africa, including campaigns of violence and religious cleansing in such horrendous ways. For the fail of the experiment in democracy in the Arab world, except for Tunisia, and the division and conflict within most Arab countries, which of course leads to a greater intervention from outside powers. 5, the appearance of conflicts of local, regional, international nature in Syria, which has consequences on the region as a whole. 5 or maybe 6, says the gentleman, the fact that we have we have had a series of economic crises, and the fall in the price of the oil, and 7, the waves of immigration in Europe, in many parts of Europe. I believe that these are the factors that have led to imbalances in international relations. When I spoke of the mechanisms that rule international relations at the world level, I believe that the Middle East and the Arab world as a whole is opposite basically to such crises. All the crises in the Arab world now have regional and international dimensions and lead to a very complex crisis. This is why it is so difficult to find solutions to such crises unless we reach a in which we find all parties, whether regional or international or otherwise, all parties concerned contribute to the solution of these crises. Within this context, we notice that despite the fact that the current regional crises have deep motivations, despite this, certain characteristics lead to these crises being transformed into national conflicts, as well as international ones. The international powers have, of course, certain strategic considerations that may influence these conflicts. In this context, I see that there has been a change in the tools of dialogue, and such tools have been turned into tools of conflict. These are 3. The fact that the principle of peaceful changes can actually have been turned into tools for discord. This is quite clear. The second, there is a negative change in concepts. Religion, instead of being a principle of unification, has become a tool for intolerance. 3, a power which is supposed to be a factor in balance has become one in imbalance and conflict. One of imbalance and conflict. This seems to us as if international relations that should aim at dialogue and dialogue conducive to civil peace has become an exception, or an exception that is valid only at a theoretical level. So the big question I wish to conclude my lecture with is the following. What are the conditions that would be conducive to transforming international relations to a tool that can be positive in promoting dialogue? What are the conditions that may lead to such an atmosphere of dialogue at the world level? Of course, I have very little time, and although I could speak in more detail, according to my opinion, we need polar diversity that can lead to a halting of conflict and violence. International relations seem to concentrate on strategic considerations and interests of various nature in general. However,